right, Chris, we're back, episode 8. I just had to check. I was like, is this number 7? It's
Oh,
like we're at 8.
time flies. That's
We're,
great.
we're getting close to double digits, man.
No kidding.
A couple more
Awesome.
weeks. Um, well, good to see you. So today we're talking about a big decision that came down on July 30th, which was a reversal in this Appian Pegasystems case. And so in our trade secret world, this was sort of the bombshell landmark case of the last few years, right? 2022, Appian won a $2 billion decision against Pegasystems. And so these are both low-code platforms. They build enterprise software platforms. Appian's about Pegasystems has about 3 times the revenue of Appian, at least 2021 data. So 370 million versus Pegasystems 1.2 billion. And so the original decision was May of 2022. So before we jump into this reversal, let's just understand a little bit more about the original case. So Chris, why don't you just give us a little bit of color on what happened originally?
Sure, Tim. And actually, it's both a reversal and a remand, both. So reversal basically cancels the damage award, the 2 billion monster amount of cash, but then it also remands it. So the appeal court is bouncing it back down to the trial court for a do-over. So they have to go through the whole trial again.
Got it.
Which could be okay or it could be horrible. Like basically they're starting over.
Redo.
Now,
Yeah.
Now there's going to be an appeal of the appeal decision also at the same time. So this is actually going to split out in 2 different directions at the same time. So there's an appeal of the appeal at the Supreme Court in Virginia, as well as the appeal court bouncing it back down to the trial court for a do-over. So this is going to be real fun to watch. But the original case, it got a lot of attention and kind of notoriety within the trade secret world for a few reasons. The obvious one is it's a huge damage award. I mean, 2 billion is a lot of money to everyone. Now, they actually were trying to get 3 billion. So in a way, they only got 2/3 of what they wanted, but it's a massive amount of money. The other reason that it's such an interesting case is the fact pattern was a campaign, a very long, ongoing, systematic theft or attempt to undermine the trade secrets of a competitor. So it's not the usual one person leaving and taking 8,000 files with them. This was very systematic. They had fake logins. They had a person act as a spy on the other company, and then they even referred to the person as their spy in internal emails and internal meetings. And it was such a campaign that it made the defendant look really bad in the litigation because this wasn't a casual, accidental misappropriation. This was very, very systematic program to get at the trade secrets of a competitor. And we often talk about, is it people acting badly? Like this was very bad action over an extended amount of time. So it's a great story as well as a massive damage award coming out of the trial court the first time.
Yeah, it certainly feels like of all of the cases that we review and think about, like this one has as much sort of Hollywood capability or potential as any.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the more colorful stories, probably along with the professor that sued the ex-students a couple podcasts ago, in terms of the entertainment value or the intrigue involved in the trade secret theft. Like these are definitely towards the top of the list for
fodder
being optioned by Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean, quick sidebar, we Tangibly does have one Hollywood producer as one of our early investors. And it was funny when I met him. This was a a little sideshow of a
Hmm.
conversation, but certainly some of this stuff, yeah, you can't script. In this case, you maybe could script. I was reading that how they considered or called the person the spy,
Yep.
right? Uh, and then the other thing that I found great was that they gave it a project name, right?
Hmm.
Let's give this thing an
Yep.
identity, and let's call it, in this case, Project Crush.
Hmm.
It's like, here's this company that's got a third of our revenue. Let's go crush them.
Hmm.
And so I just thought, man, it's like too funny. Um, Okay, so one of the things, and $2 billion is certainly starting to be in that realm of like really big patent cases, right? So back in the patent litigation heyday, those were 4, 5, $6 billion cases, and so to start to see a trade secret case at 2 billion. This basically put trade secrets on the map
Hmm.
2022. So everybody saw this decision and registered it as wow.
Hmm.
One of the things I think is continues to sort of fascinate me about the 2 billion number is that when you look at Appian's market cap, let's say post decision, so this 2 billion was like priced into the stock. The stock was trading at 4 billion, right?
Hmm.
So essentially, and again, this is very rough math. Yeah, it was these trade secrets, and this wasn't the entirety of the company's trade secrets, certainly, but these were super important ones. Was valued by the market at half of the value of
Yeah.
the company,
Right.
right? Um, and I just think that we don't often see something this kind of pure play
Hmm.
uh, get priced into a stock as it did. And actually, it's quite interesting now with the reversal remand. You start to see the stock come down. It's back to where it was sort of pre-decision 2022, and you see Pegasystems kind of getting some bump.
Well, and
So
the 2 billion. I mean, it was kind of a high watermark, but since then, you're routinely seeing trade secret damages in the tens of millions and even sometimes over 100 million. So it's
yeah,
still a big number. I mean, no one's come close to 2 billion since then, but it's inching up. And
yeah,
now, like 100 million damages for trade secrets
yeah.
doesn't surprise people anymore. So
Yeah,
it's
I
really
totally
changing.
have that um, same reaction. Like we had this decision out of Italy this week or last, and it was like $100 million decision. And
Hmm.
I think 3 or 4 years ago, you and I would have been
Hmm.
like, "Wow, that one's
That's
on
right.
our list right now, right?" And
Yep.
now it's like, "Yeah, 100 million, whatever."
Another one, another 100 million. But
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
great because trade secrets are now in the realm of patent damages, and it
For
used
sure.
to be that you'd always go after patent damages because that's where the big money was, and
Yeah,
now trade secrets are in the same ballpark.
yeah. So let's walk through what happened in this July 30th,
Hmm.
2024 decision. The Virginia Court of Appeals reversed the damages award, remanded back to the lower court for new trial. Talk about the decision. Why did they do that?
So there were really two different parts. So one has to do with evidence, and one has to do with causation. The causation had to do with a jury instruction because the idea is you should get damages that connect with the action. And the problem was they used the total sales revenue as the basis for calculating damages, but didn't connect. It could be that all of your revenue ties back to the trade secret, which is okay. But it might be that only a portion of your revenue ties back to the trade secret if it
Right,
isn't core to
right.
everything you're doing. So that calculation was not presented to the jury with the argument that, oh, the damages were too high. And then the other one had to do.
So they
Oh,
can I jump
go ahead.
in with it? So
Sure.
like effectively the damages they were able to show the damages calculation was not was not accurate?
Well, either not accurate or not fully considered. So
Okay,
there should be a link or causation between the
I
trade
got it.
secrets and the calculated damages. And yeah, it could be 100%. So if a trade secret is so core to your business that all of your revenue ties back to that trade secret, then all of the revenue is fair game for
Okay,
calculating damages. But on the other hand, if it's only one product out of 10, for example, maybe it's less than your total revenue because you have other
sure.
products not incorporating that trade secret or not involving that trade secret. So the jury should be able to consider that in calculating their
Yep.
damages. And the appeal court is saying, that calculation wasn't considered.
Understood. So that 2 billion number comes from many years of revenue then, yeah?
Correct. And
Yeah.
also it's total revenue
Yeah. Total
is
revenue over 7
over
years or something?
several, a bunch of years.
Yeah, okay.
So they're saying that calculation wasn't presented to the jury, or the
Okay.
jury didn't consider the possibility that not all of the revenue connected back to the trade secrets.
Can I just ask a question on that? Why why
Mm-hmm.
would why would that have not come up in the like in the damages argument part of the case?
Well, it had to do with the jury instruction. So that the document that the jury fills out as they're deliberating. So
I
it
see.
it probably did come up in trial, but then for whatever reason didn't end up
Got
in the
it.
jury instruction.
Got it.
So that
Cool.
was one. And then the other one is kind of a good thing for trade secrets, or at least reinforces a basic idea, which is
Yep.
there was evidence that was not presented or not allowed to present from Pegasystems saying that they didn't steal the trade secret, or that the trade secrets weren't trade secrets at all. So in their appeal, they're saying, look, we weren't allowed to present all of the evidence that we didn't steal, or that the trade secrets were not properly protected and therefore did not qualify for trade secret protection.
Yep.
And to me, like in litigation or in any dispute, you need to be able to say, something qualifies as a trade secret or not, and that your actions, were either misappropriation or not misappropriation. So these are kind of basic tenets of enforcing trade secret rights that here the defendant it was able to convince the appeal court that they didn't get a fair bite at the apple.
Uh, so, um, well, so on the, I think is this an example where you would say, well, they kind of got the benefit of the doubt in this original decision
Mm-hmm.
because boy, Pegasystems kind of behaved so badly.
It feels that way, yeah. But
Yeah,
in Appian's part of the appeal, they said, look, this was not a quick trial. Like this went on for a long time. There was tons of evidence. There was tons of witnesses.
yeah,
So their feeling is that the appeal court actually got it wrong, and that there was tons of opportunity to present information, present evidence, and they lost. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens next, because they're appealing the appeal, so the appeal could get overturned at the Supreme Court, in which case the 2 billion might be reinstated,
yeah,
which Appian would be happy if that happened. And then it could get bounced down to the trial court. They go through the whole painful trial again, and maybe they get 2 billion again, or maybe 3 billion, which is what they originally asked for. So this isn't lethal by any means. It's still very much in play, and will be kind of interesting to watch where this shakes out.
yeah. So the now the kicker here is, and so they announced this, after this was like a 2023 announcement from Appian that they insured they insured judgment preservation insurance policy. So they took out a $500 million policy to ensure that they were going to get something, right?
Mhm.
And they paid 9.8% premium. Kind of came out to whatever $57 million. So Appian wrote a $57 million check, right, to get 500 million bucks of insurance,
Yeah.
to insure that 2 billion
Mhm.
up to 500 million. Um, so I think it's got the added intrigue now that you've roped probably multiple investors into this, because you go back to the press release from 2023 where they talk about this insurance policy. And it's a large syndicate of
Mhm.
highly rated insurers. So my guess is, depending on what's going to happen next, we'll be hearing a lot more about this, by virtue of the insurers getting involved.
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally. And it almost functions like a put option
yeah,
on the damages. And this whole notion of insurance coming into play with trade secrets is still relatively new, but it's exciting, and it kind of validates that trade secrets are real and valuable and an investable asset. So it's great to see more activity in the insurance space.
I got one more question for you, and so this was a case that was filed in state court, right? So it's Virginia State
Virginia.
Court, and it did not have a DTSA claim, I think. Yeah.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
and so is there a world in which this could be refiled under DTSA?
So I tried to figure out, because I was wondering the same thing, why this was done under the VUTSA, the Virginia Trade Secret Act, instead of DTSA, and I couldn't easily figure out why. Uh, it seems like they could have chosen DTSA originally,
Yeah.
but again, for some reason they were more comfortable, or they had some reason for sticking with Virginia. Uh, you wouldn't normally retry, because it has gone through the Virginia court system, and it's still active, in the
Got it.
appeal and the remand going on in Virginia. So it's not like, if you're unhappy at state level, you can just bounce to federal or vice versa. But it is an interesting question that, again, I haven't easily figured out of why did they choose Virginia, because
Right.
it is a recent case.
Yeah.
We've seen some old ones that were filed before DTSA existed, and
Yeah.
that makes total sense.
And I'd say it feels like maybe the average uh, today is to file
Mhm.
both the state and federal case. Yeah.
Well, or just jump to straight to federal. Like, a lot of people are just using DTSA
Yeah.
regardless as
Yeah.
the plan A.
Yeah. All right, man. Good
Hmm.
episode. Thank you. What's next? Hold on a second. Let's do the Italian one next. Because we made reference to it, and
Hmm.
we've got some customers in Italy, and there's like stuff happen in Italy, right? It's like there's a lot of activity there. Yeah.
Yeah, Italy is amazing. I mean, I went to a trade secret conference, and someone from Europe was presenting on trade secret litigation filings, where the activity is.
Yeah.
And Italy is by far the most active venue in Europe. And yeah, it's an interesting question of why, but yeah, this will be a great case to talk about next time.
Well, with a $100 million decision, and if these people are seeing the money,
Hmm.
maybe it's like the Delaware of the
Hmm.
EU or something.
It
So,
is.
all right, good
It'd be
stuff,
good.
Chris. Take it easy.
Awesome. Catch you
Thank you.
later.
Thanks for listening. A little bit more about us. Tangibly is a platform to help companies identify and protect their trade secrets. It's an end-to-end solution and includes our proprietary AI that was designed to analyze patents and predict underlying trade secrets. Tangibly is used by companies large and small, as well as by law firms. Our investors include Madrona, as well as DLA Piper and Wilson Sonsini. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.